Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Badass Unscripted. I was doing some traveling this week, and I was in a big chain hotel, and I go to take my morning shower, and I open up the soap, and the soap has got these grooves in the top, like ridges, deep ridges, and then in the middle of the bar of soap, going horizontally, there's these holes bored or drilled into it, or it's molded around something. So there's these three big holes, not big enough to put a pencil through, but still they go all the way through the soap. So it looks like what they're trying to do is make the soap look bigger, right? So by making it thicker but hollow, effectively, and raising some ridges on the top to puff it up, it looks bigger in the package. And so somewhere there must have been an initiative to make more soap bar volume for less money by removing some of the soap, which at the end of the day, in a single sitting, you're never going to use an entire bar of that soap. That's not the problem. The problem is, why try to make it look bigger than it is? Why not just serve up a couple of smaller pieces of soap? And it brought back some memories of, my early days in coaching Agile. I used to say all the time, it's not about better, faster, cheaper. And it's still true. If cheaper is what you're after, Agile's not going to help you. You're not going to like what it does. One of the reasons for that is that, especially in the initial, I always say 6 to 8 weeks, there's a ton of mayhem. There's a bunch of discovery and failing forward fast that has to be done, and a lot of getting the team together and socializing and blending everybody so that they can start hitting their sweet spot and start really becoming effective. So in the first bit of an Agile initiative, you're lucky if you break even. You're not going to see the kind of progress that you possibly were hoping to see. And Agile only makes things cheaper by reducing waste, by not working on low priority things, and so on. It is inherently not faster necessarily, although it can be more focused. But by doing things like not waiting 8 weeks for a blocker to be resolved and attacking them more aggressively, we can usually save some of the leaky or lossy time. But the point I wanted to get across today was, if you're drilling holes in your soap to make it look bigger, that's not going to get past anybody. Everybody knows that you're doing it because you're trying to save dollars. So cheap has a certain look and feel to it. Everyone knows what you're up to. And it's when big companies act this way, by trying to slip one past you so they can save a few dollars and cents here and there. And then they wonder why they can't disrupt, because that's just a really common, expectable tactic. If they acted from a place of courage instead and found new ways to delight customers, if you thrill a guest, and because of that, they insist on staying with your chain every time they travel. So maybe 1 or 2 hotel stays a year of additional revenue. How much soap do you have to drill out to save the same amount of money? There's a reason why there's so many business books and leadership experts out there. Because the one thing that's required to lead is the one thing that's almost impossible to teach, and that's courage. How to exist in the face of fear, how to welcome fear, how to run towards the challenge and not away from it. And in this case, I'm talking about the courage to lead from your heart. There's this prevailing opinion that if you cut costs and maximize revenue, you win. You lead in the marketplace. Sometimes that's true, but mostly, it isn't. When you lead from your heart, people know. When you lead with courage, it's unmistakable. When you treat customers the way they deeply desire to be treated, it may be the case that you won't win in every segment, in every situation, but when you win, you become unbeatable. But when you cheat, when you go cheap, when you try to cut corners at the cost of the customer so that you can keep more for yourself, people can tell. That's one of the reasons why I've always said, if you're looking for Agile because you want things to be cheaper, if that's your primary motivation for adopting it, then you're not going to be happy with the outcome. When you're starting new projects and initiatives with new customers, that's something that you should shoot across the bow. Give them those straight facts when you begin, so they're not unpleasantly surprised later. Set up your terms and conditions and let them know. If your only reason for doing this is to save money, Agile's not something that you install like one of those energy-efficient shower heads. And all of a sudden you start saving on your water bill. And that conversation itself requires courage. But start practicing, start building that habit with your customers. every new project, every new executive needs to hear this message. I took a picture of the soap. I might send it to you, because it's a reminder of what cheap looks like from a customer perspective. And we must never forget that. Folks, thanks for tuning in. You can reach out at badassagile.com. Find me on Twitter at badass_agile or on Instagram at badassagile. Thank you for being true believers. I'll see you next time. And until then, stay badass.